Hello, my name is Przemysław Ciach and I would like to discuss the installation of a mechanical ventilation system which was carried out using the MAXVENT system by Mr. Piotr Paruszewski from the company O3 Ozon. The installation is located in a single-story building with a usable attic. This is how the floor plan of our building is presented. The project's core idea was to have living rooms on the west side of the house, while rooms like the kitchen or bathrooms would be on the east, which also helps locate the distribution boxes. In order to plan the routes for the ducts and the arrangement of the individual installation components, I prepared a simplified 3D model of the building. The expansion boxes within the cleanroom environments were strategically placed in alignment with the window axis positioned roughly 1 meter from the interior edge of the wall. Conversely, in the dirty room areas, the air diffusers are situated approximately in the central part of the room, but they also maintain a distance of 1 meter from the wall. As I wasn't too keen on drilling through the interior walls to install the ventilation ducts, we opted to run them along the surface of the reinforced concrete ceiling. This is definitely a much simpler solution. It saves a lot of work, especially when passing through walls and when suspending pipes from the ceiling. It is also important to note that this particular solution eliminates the issue of suspended ceilings, which would otherwise practically need to be installed throughout almost every room in the house. The disadvantages of this approach certainly include a reduction of usable space in the attic, an increase in the thickness of the floor layers on the attic level, and the necessity of drilling through the reinforced concrete ceiling slab. Not to mention the obvious deterioration of the load-bearing capacity of this slab due to all the reinforcing bars that would be cut when creating openings. I definitely recommend designing the entire system beforehand. Ideally have it all thought out when the walls are being built and the ceiling slab is reinforced. Based on the information I had found on the internet, I then gave careful thought to the matter of diffuser placement, and during the reinforcement of the ceiling slab I carefully positioned within the formwork sections of 160 mm diameter drainage pipe, which were left over from the earlier phases of the construction. The recuperator in the attic will be placed in the technical room, where the boiler's expansion vessel, the chimney, and the attic's electrical panel are also located. In the photograph, you can observe the wooden support structure for the heat recovery ventilator. All the ductwork of our ventilation system has been carefully routed along the knee walls, and these will eventually be hidden from view behind an additional knee wall, which will be constructed using dry lining plasterboard technology. The advantages of this particular solution are quite obvious. This means we don't have to elevate the floor to conceal the channels. We are able to freely use the attic, which is currently functioning as a storage area. The air intake and exhaust connections were fabricated from 200 mm diameter spiro pipes. The channels themselves are of a comparable length, roughly 9 meters long. They have been installed using standard clamps, which are fastened to threaded rods, inserted into expansion sleeves that are screwed into the ceiling. In order to drain any water that could potentially condense inside the pipes, both channels were constructed with a 1% slope leading away from the building, which translates to 1 centimeter in height for every meter of length. The spiro pipes that bought were 3 meters long. Sections that were 3 meters in length, which I then connected with sheet metal screws through the systemic nipples. It is important to remember to seal each and every pipe connection with tape, because all potential leaks will accumulate and ultimately lead to a decrease in the system's overall efficiency. Next, we positioned the distribution boxes, starting with the exhaust boxes from the dirty rooms. In our specific case, we have 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms and a kitchen. All the soiled rooms are located in the eastern section of the building. Each of these is connected by means of 2 pipes. Here we have implemented a single, non-flow-through expansion box with 6 outlets for 90 mm diameter pipes. Because on one side we required 2 channels and on the other 4, as the box was then rotated by 45 degrees to minimize the pipe bends. We cut the FI90 ventilation ducts with a system knife. It's truly worth purchasing this product. It's only about $10 and it makes cutting pipes a much simpler and significantly faster job. Now we're getting to the more complicated part, the air supply distribution boxes. The majority of the rooms that require an air supply system are primarily situated in the western section of the house, and there we will install a double plenum box equipped with 12 separate inlets for the ducts. However, we also need to extend the ductwork to the small bedroom located on the eastern side, as well as to the pantry and the living room, which features a high ceiling. A LED supply system for the ventilation distribution boxes was also constructed using spiro ducts. From our central unit, we immediately connect to a T-junction. To the east, we connect it with elbows to a smaller supply air plenum box, whereas to the west, we route the pipe above the doors and connect it to the second box. Then we proceed to connect the ventilation pipes to the air expansion boxes. If the rooms are located close to the box, we use a single pipe. If further away, then two. The largest room in the house is the living room, with a high cathedral ceiling connected to the kitchen and a study on the mezzanine. Iar močovna kadarifa. It makes up about 30% of the entire building's volume. To ensure proper ventilation in the living room, I decided on aesthetic linear diffusers, one designed for 6 ducts and the other for 3. This smaller diffuser is strategically located near the future steel chimney of the wood-burning stove. I'm counting on the airflow directed at the hot chimney to help distribute the heat more effectively throughout the living room. The final point concerns the attic's ventilation. Its intended use has not yet been precisely determined. At the moment, it's just serving as a storage room. In the attic, we will install 3 air diffusers, 2 on the ceiling, routed from the western junction box, and 1 on the wall of the technical utility room. Since we still have one more outlet available to us, we're also installing an anemostat on the partition wall in the mezzanine office. The final component of our system is the condensate removal from the heat recovery unit. I decided to connect the drain line from the central unit to the sewage ventilation stack. At this point, I thought it made sense to use an elbow fitting. So, to summarize the advantages of the MAXVENT system, it's ease of installation and a very competitive price. A larger diameter of ventilation pipes, meaning 90 mm, rather than the standard. Consequently, we need fewer ducts and have fewer connections to make, where a connection is, as always, the most critical point for the potential occurrence of leaks. Additionally, the geometry of the distribution and expansion boxes is designed with smooth, rounded contours, avoiding any sharp angles. This significantly reduces the aerodynamic drag of the airflow within such an installation. Another enormous advantage is the vast knowledge base available on Mr. Piotr's YouTube channel. No one tries to make us believe that the arrangement of these pipes is some kind of rocket science, requiring you to hire a company for tens of thousands of zlotys. I am giving you a lot of information on how you can personally design such a ventilation system, what tools you'll need, and what components your installation requires. Regarding the difficulties encountered during the construction of this installation, the only one that truly arose was the matter of the sheer size of certain elements, such as the recuperator or those pipe coils. It's always a good idea to have someone helping out who can, for example, assist you with installing these spiro ducts. This is particularly important when you're trying to fix them up on the ceiling. And finally, just a quick look at the finished result right here in our living room. You can clearly see the linear diffusers installed. And that's everything I wanted to show you today. I would like to thank you all very much for your kind attention. Best regards.